Are you struggling to understand your business numbers? Are you wanting to take your business to the next level? Well, each week here on the Local Small Business Coach podcast, we dive into your business to help you not only understand the business numbers that matter, but we will discuss how to use them to increase your profits. Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help our badass local business owners take their business to the next level. So if you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. Today is Thursday, which means we're going to talk about your numbers and we're going to talk about profits. That's what we're going to talk about today. And specifically, when is it okay for your profit margins to drop and it's still not a bad thing? Well, specifically, this tends to happen when we start to bring on employees. And it's a big fear that people have. And it's also a huge roadblock after somebody hires the very first person. They kind of feel that drop and they either abandon it altogether and they don't push forward, or they don't have a plan to continue to grow. Because here's the cool thing. The first employee hurts the most, but as you continue to add them, if done correctly, it actually could put more money in your pocket. But what happens is we are so attached to the amount of money that we're making when we're a solopreneur that we forget that it's going to change the minute you start hiring some people. All right? Because let's kind of step back for a quick second. When you are the only person in your business, basically you're trading time for money. You have to do everything. So in order for you to make money, you personally have to get out there and you personally have to do it. Okay. You're just changing one for the other. If you are sick, your business doesn't work if you're not working. If something shuts down and you can't do it, if you have to take someone to the doctor, or let's say you want to go spend time with your kids, guess what? You can't work. The business can't keep going. There's no money coming in. So there comes this point where if you want your business to continue to grow, and if you want to be able to quit spending all of your time creating the money, you're going to have to bring employees aboard. And that's basically how you grow it. And the way you grow it is by hiring individuals. So this way you can replace some of the tasks that you currently do, for example, with an office type person, or in order for you to grow the business, you're going to have to replace and spend more time working on the business versus in the business. You have to hire someone to do the parts that you're doing right now so you can spend more time doing that. Or let's say you want to increase your sales, so you need to take on more jobs, but you can only be in so many places at one time. You need somebody to be able to go do that. So I think we can all agree to that. Now let's take a look at this from a numbers standpoint. So this way you can kind of see why you've got to be careful, but at the same time is where the opportunities are, and that the reality is you can make more money by hiring people. It's just your margins are going to look very different and you need to have a plan. So let's just say and I'm just going to use some basic numbers. I don't expect you to memorize them, and obviously it's an audio format, so being able to follow along makes it a little bit difficult, but you can kind of get the feel for what we're talking about. Okay. And I think I'm going to end up trying to turn this into something that's more visual for people at the same time. All right. So first off, let's just say you're by yourself and you do $50,000 in sales. Well, what's the calculation that we're always talking about? Sales minus cost of goods minus expenses equals your profits. That's just the basic calculation. So we're going to use that as our basic, but we're going to add in one new dynamic. Sales minus cost of goods minus expenses equals your profits. Okay, so if it's just you, and let's just say you did $50,000 in sales last year, and your cost of goods, your COGS, if you will, run 40%, which means that your cost of goods is going to run you about 20 grand out of that 50. And you do have some expenses because you went and got a truck, got some tools, got some different things. So your expenses run you about $800 a month, give or take. But anyways, it's 10 grand a year. All right. So your expenses run 10 grand, which is about 20% of your business, which leaves you with 20,000 in profit. 50,000 minus the 20 for COGS minus the 10 for expenses left you 20 grand for profit, which means you had a profit margin of 40%. Now remember that number, okay? 20 grand and 40% went to your profit. But now you've decided, hey, this is going well. I want to grow. I'm kind of stretched. I need to bring on my first employee. I just know I can kill it if I bring them aboard. So you hire your first employee and you're paying them $10 an hour and they're going to work 30 hours a week with you. So you work hard, you guys do the whole time. You don't quite double your business, but you are able to go from $50,000 up to $75,000. Not as much as you wanted, but there was a ramp up and a curve and learning how to work together, and you guys tend to partner up more. So it wasn't like you were doing double the business, it was just you were able to get the business done quicker. And in some cases, they could go out. So this year, you finished at $75,000 in sales. But your cost of goods didn't change that much. They still were running 20%. So you had $30,000 of that went towards cost of goods. And your expenses, you were able to keep them about the same because you guys were doing the jobs together. You didn't have to really go out and get more stuff. So your expenses, you were able to maintain those suckers at about 10 grand. You probably popped a little bit over, but we're just going to use 10. And that left you with, we still have one more thing because you noticed I didn't raise your cost of goods or expenses by the employee. Now, normally your employee is going to go under one of those two categories. If it's someone in the field doing the doing with you, they're going to be under your cost of goods. So technically your cost of goods would have went up from that 20%. But for our example, I'm going to leave the employee out as their own category because I think it's going to be easier for you to follow. But just remember, the employee's hours, if they are a doer, will be under your cost of goods. If they're an office staff kind of person, they're going to be under expenses. And you will have some additional expenses for regular employee expenses, which will also fall under your expenses. So forget that for a moment. We're just trying to pull the cost of the employee piece out so you can kind of see how that impacts you. So once again, we did $75,000. We had regular cost of goods of $30,000. Expenses of $10,000, and this employee cost us $15,000 to bring them aboard. Ugh! Right now I know that hurt. You just spent $15,000 that you gave to an employee to do some work for you. And guess what? Your profits ended up being the same $20,000 that you made before. So you're in your mind, you're like, oh my God, I did like half, 50% more money. Went from $50,000 in sales to $75,000 in sales, but I didn't make any more money. I only made the same $20,000. And my profit margin went down to 26.6%. And I know what you're thinking. You're just like, oh my God, this is so frustrating. I should have made more money than this. Well, slow down, Turbo, because it changes as you keep going. Because if you think about it, you haven't worked in your efficiencies, you haven't increased your sales as much as you wanted to, but at the same time, you didn't lose anything either. Okay. You've been developing and training this employee who's going to be able to take on more and more. But at the end of the day, you made the same $20,000. Your gross margin percent is what changed, but your bottom line profits didn't. But now let's keep playing this. You're getting better at this. You like the employees. So now in the next year, you decide to take on another couple of employees. But this time you're going to do a little differently. You're going to have 2 doers and 1 office person because you realize that in order to get more done, you need more people in the field because if you can break 2 employees off, they can be their own crew. And if you had an office person, that would free up some more of your time. So now you can not only work in the business and on the business, and you can accomplish a lot more as well. So now we've got 3 employees. So now you've got 3 employees, sales take off. They go crazy. And now you do $225,000. Wow, that's amazing. That's a great jump. But now you've got those 2 teams and you're able to take on more business and you've jumped up to 225. Now your cost of goods, you've also been able to find some efficiencies because now you can buy some things in bulk. You're getting a little bit better pricing because you're doing more sales and you're able to get those cost of goods down from 40% down to 35.5%. Now in your case, your real cost of goods, don't forget, the employees are going to be under there, so it's going to look like it goes up. But what my point is, if you look at all the other cost of goods, there are some efficiencies that you can put into place. So in this case, because we put those efficiencies in, we were able to drive down the hardcore cost of goods and get it down to $80,000. So once again, it's sales minus cost of goods minus expenses equals your profit. So let's go to expenses. Well, your expenses, they jumped. Remember, they've been 10 grand. Well, in order for us to double the crew and have 2 crews going out and to be able to have another vehicle, some more tools, we had to get some space that we could do some stuff. Our expenses all of a sudden jumped. They jumped up to $25,000. More than double those expenses jumped up. Plus, we've got some supplies, some different things that we had to get the office person hooked up, whatever. But here's the amazing thing. In the beginning, your expenses were running 20%. Remember when you were a solopreneur, your expenses were running 20%. Even though it was only $10,000, percent-wise, it was very high at 20%. Well, now because your sales being at 225, yes, your expenses jumped to 25,000, but the percent is only 10%. So your percentage of expenses has gone down, and you're spending more dollars. It's kind of weird how the dollars and the percentages kind of start to shift a little bit. Well, remember those employees? We haven't put them in here yet, right? They're not buried under your cost of goods. They're not buried in your expenses. We're keeping them, for our example, we're keeping them separate. But guess what? We've had these 3 employees. They're on average 30 hours a week, and we've given them a raise, not just $10 an hour. We're using $12 an hour, okay? Because you're a good employer. Now, obviously, your situation is different based off of the type of business that you have, what the going rate is, where you're located, and everything else. Don't judge. Just roll with me here for a minute, okay? So now you're going to spend $55,000 on employees. So you'll notice in year 1, you had no employees. Year 2, you had $15,000 employees. And in year 3, you spent $55,000 on employees. Here's the crazy thing. Remember the first year when you only had $50,000 in sales total, and now you're spending $55,000 just in employees. It's crazy how it works when you start to expand. So $225 in sales, you spent 80 grand on cost of goods, 25 on expenses. We add in those employees at 55,000. Guess what? Your bottom line dollar profit for a business was now $65,000. You've gone from $20,000 by yourself, $20,000 in profit with 1 employee. All of a sudden, with 3 employees, now you've got $65,000 in profit. And your bottom line profit, remember in year 1, it was 40%. And then in year 2 with 1 employee, I don't mean necessarily the number of years, but once you start hiring. The second time with 1 employee, you had 26.6. Well, guess what? Now with the 3 employees, you've gotten it because you've got these other efficiencies in your expenses and in your cost of goods. Guess what? Now your profit's at 28%, which is not bad at all, and you're making $65,000 in sales. So you can see what's happened is your profit dollars have gone up, your profit margin has gone down, but your bottom line profits have gone up dollar-wise dramatically from the 20 up to the 65. So you really have to have all the parts working together. Your cost of goods and expenses wherever your employees go is going to go up. But if you kind of put them aside and really dive in to get efficiencies in all the other areas, and you're able to reuse some things, not everything else is equal. Some things you can buy better. Some things you can use for multiple people on your team without having to go buy double the expenses to be able to do it. So having employees, don't get hung up on that bottom line number. It's going to slide. That percentage is going to slide with what your profit margin is, what that profit percent looks like. It's the dollars we want to grow because the dollars is what's going into your pocket. And it's very unrealistic. In the beginning, when you're running your own business and you've got 30, 35, 40, sometimes 50,000, not 50,000, 50% margins. That's very normal when you're by yourself. But as you add employees, that number's going to come down. It's not uncommon for someone to run 20 to 30% margins with employees. Each business, once again, is a little bit different. Some people run even lower than that, depending upon, what they have to pay people. But it's all about those dollars at the end of the day. So you want to look at where your profit dollars are going, and there's going to be some bumps. Remember, our first employee, we made the same amount of money. We didn't get the true efficiencies until we brought on even more employees. Now, I don't want you to go out and hire 3 employees tomorrow. Absolutely not. Please do not do that. I've talked about this on the podcast in the past. You need to do them one at a time, and you need to have a plan for each of them, what it is that you're accomplishing with them, and get them efficient, trained right, and everything else. If you go from 0 to 3, you're going to fail, because there's no way that you are ready and you have the processes in place and the skill set to go from $50,000 to $225 in sales, for example. You cannot make that leap overnight. You don't know how to manage people. You don't know how to hire people. You don't have the efficiency set up for your cost of goods, for your expenses. You don't have any of that. And that's one reason why people fail, is because they grow way too fast and hire all these employees way too soon. You need to have a plan. You need to do them one at a time, know exactly what you're going to be getting, how it impacts your bottom line. Think of it like a staircase, okay? I want you to jump up, have a little bit of pain, flatten off. Get that corrected, jump up again, flatten off, get that corrected, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. That's how you're going to make that money. And don't get too hung up on that profit margin percentage. As long as at the end of the day, your profit dollars are growing, you're going in the right direction. All right. So hopefully that makes a lot more sense. You may have to listen to this one again. I'm going to make a note to make sure that this is something that I put into our courses and stuff like that. And one of the things that I'm looking at is possibly, instead of just doing a course, doing kind of a membership thing where you can go in at any time, and there's a whole library of different things where if you want to really learn and dive into, that you can go pick from to be able to dive in deeper. And that's kind of where my brain is going. Last week I talked about the whole Babbo change for the badass business owners. I'm doing some studying right now on some membership type courses, because what I really want to do for you guys is to create this virtual library, if you will, to where you can go in and you can learn and study whatever's important to you at the time in your business. So like if you are in a season where you're hiring people, you can go in and watch whatever you want when it comes to that. So all kinds of stuff I'm just playing around with. Going to take you along with my journey, so I'll share some of it every once in a while when I come on here. Matter of fact, I probably should create a landing page, so that way if you are interested in possibly being a founding member, if you will, once I get that thing going, hopefully I'll be doing that by the end of the year, if not sooner, that we can go to. Matter of fact, we can do it at localsmallbusinesscoach.com/membership. I don't know. I'll create something, or put it in the show notes. Anyways, my main thing is, I know some of you guys want to be able to have employees, but you kind of get scared about the cost of them. They are going to cost you money. They are going to cut into your profits. But if you do it right and you start over time putting all the right things in place and getting the efficiencies in place, they may cut into your profit margin percent, but they definitely don't cut into your profit dollars, because you're able to grow. Because if you think about it, if you were a solopreneur, that 50,000, you would have had to jump up to a little over 150,000, and you just did not have any more time to be able to give, because you by yourself, there's only so much time you have to make so much money. So either your prices have to go up, all these other things have to happen in your business. So employees are the gateway to huge profits. Don't get me wrong, they can also have huge headaches, but you're going to have to be more efficient with how you run your business. So just wanted to share that, so kind of spark some ideas. And if you're in the middle of having employees, this is kind of how you want to be looking at your numbers, so that way you can have a better idea of, are you doing it the right way, or do you need to make some tweaks? All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and I'll talk to you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Okay, badass business owner, don't you think it is time that you learn how to read your profit and loss income statement? Now, I know you don't have time. I know you hate numbers. I know you're afraid of what you're going to find. But it is time to suck it up, buttercup, and learn to read and understand the most important report in your business. Your profit and loss income statement shows you the flow of money in and out of your business. Don't you think it's time that you started to pay attention? Now get your free, quick guide on how to read your profit and loss income statement at profitandlossguide.com, or just click the show notes. There's a link in there for you. What are you waiting for? You're a badass business owner, aren't you?